Hello and welcome to my kitchen. I'm Judith. Today we're going to do a chunk of salmon. Now, where I live, there are a few types of salmon. The most well-known are sockeye, coho, and pink. Sockeye generally is considered the very, very best. So, I do have a almost 2-pound chunk of sockeye salmon, but we need to finish cleaning up the inside here. I don't know if you can see that very well in this light, but it does still have some blood running down the middle. So give me a second while I wash that up. So washed and patted dry. Our next step is to remove the fins. He wants salmon. We might give him a fin. So the thing with the fins is underneath, inside here, is going to be a lot of bone. So we really don't want that in our dinner. We'd like to lessen the number of bones in our food. So let's just get this off. There we go. And there's a nice little chunk there for the cat. No, we're not giving him the fin. We're giving him the chunk I cut off the fin. Now, it doesn't really matter if you leave the fins on. I just prefer to remove them because it is bony. Still a few scales, so we are going to try and get rid of them. You just run your knife backwards against them. Like if you were brushing your hair, you're going upward rather than downward. Or if you're petting a cat, you're going against the way the fur lays, which is going to really upset them. So this is going to remove the scales that were left. And yes, they make a mess. It's not that the scales aren't edible. A lot of people don't eat the skin anyway. I mean, I do like the skin. The most annoying part of fish scales is that they are very tenacious, and you will find them weeks later still wherever you scaled your fish. So our next step is to slice a lemon. Hopefully, without adding scales to it. And I'm not worried about the seeds. If they fall out, that's fine. We don't really want them, but they're not going to hurt anything. Then we have some fresh dill, which I'm just actually going to leave a lot of it in a large chunk. And then I'm going to chop the rest fairly finely. And believe me, if your salmon smells fishy, it's not fresh. So yeah, you want to get a fresh piece of salmon. There's literally no odor to it. Now the back fin, I'm just going to trim the fin itself off. I'm not going to go in for the bone. Bone knife. There we go. So now I have a casserole that is going to be big enough to fit the fish with some extra room. And I'm going to line it with tin foil. And first thing to do is lay some of the lemon in the bottom. Sprinkle with some of the dill. Then we're going to put the fish on top. Turn it around. Then I want to put some of the smaller slices of the lemon inside the dish. There's a couple fit there. And a little bit of the dill inside. Slide so. And then we're going to put the last pieces of lemon on top. And the last bit of dill with that. We need a little more dill, so let's grab some of this and just put a piece there. Now we're going to seal our aluminum foil. So we don't want it tight on the fish. We just want it sealed so the steam and the juices don't escape. Also helps to make it much easier clean up because salmon is a very fatty fish and there is going to be a lot of liquid inside of that, but it is going to keep the fish moist and absolutely so full of flavor and delicious. So now that we have our salmon all nice and snug in its little tinfoil blanket, we're going to bake it in the oven. Now, if you've ever tried to look up how long to bake salmon, you're not going to find anything about a chunk this big. They're usually talking about steaks or fillets or maybe you call them fillets. Rather thin pieces. Everything that I've ever been able to find says bake for 12 to 15 minutes. No, this isn't going to be nearly done enough in that time. I even looked up baking a whole salmon, and it said pretty much the same thing. So, once we get the oven up to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, our chunk of salmon is going in for probably about an hour and a half. An hour would be minimum, but that's usually for a smaller piece. So this is a bigger piece than I normally buy. So I'm thinking this is going to take an hour and a half. And we will check it at an hour, and again at an hour and a half. And if it takes a little bit longer than that, it won't be too much longer. Now, one of the reasons we wrapped it in foil is also so that we don't have to add oil or butter. Salmon is a very, very fatty fish. Yes, it is a very healthy fish, and it's healthy fats. So you don't want to add extra saturated fats or oils or whatever if you can avoid it. Our salmon has been in the oven for an hour now at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to check to see how it's doing. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near done, but let's give it a check. Smells delicious already. Try not to tear your tinfoil. Now, the easiest way to check, I mean, it looks cooked there, but you need to get into the flesh here, go along the backbone, and no, if that was done, it would lift so easily. It is not done, so we're going to have to alright, so our salmon's been in the oven for an hour and a half now. Check it for doneness. Well, it is getting there. Actually, it's probably servable right now. Have lemon wedges, rice cooked with parsley, because you don't want to overdo the dill. And we have some wonderful, wonderful vegetables. A mix of broccoli, beans, carrots. So that's my baked salmon with dill and lemon. There's a almost 2-pound chunk of salmon, which took about an hour and a half to cook. Could have probably cooked it a little less. Salmon is so healthy. It is full of omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids. You don't need to add butter or oil or anything to it. It's got enough fat of its own that if you cook it right, it will not come out dry. If you liked the recipe, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. And I love everyone that has subscribed, that watches, that likes my videos. I will see you again soon with a new recipe. Thank you so much for watching.